What's going on, guys? Eric here with driverlineup.com, world's okayest steering wheel holder, self-proclaimed, of course, as your host. Please do check out driverlineup.com. And for this video, make sure that if you're interested in coming to drive for Prime Inc., check out driverlineup.com/prime for some information. I've got up there some thoughts on all of it. Don't listen to all the hate. You'll see a lot of it down in the comments. In my videos, there's always the Prime haters. Always the Prime haters. But it's a great company to start with and to end with, if you know, depending on your plans. But you know, there's a lot of money to be made with Prime. I know the internet says otherwise, but listen, guys. Now, well, first let me say this real quick, because I know the regular subscribers, you guys are gonna want to know, how am I in a truck? Because you just watched 3 videos of me losing my shit because my truck was broken down. Well, I don't want to go too much into that with this video, because this video is going to be relevant months and months from now. But for you guys, just real quick, I will say our truck is in and out of Peterbilt in record time. I mean, record time. Unbelievably fast service. An update coming about that soon, but the truck is fixed. We're getting back on the road here shortly. But for those of you who are not familiar with it, don't worry. You don't have to bother yourself with all that. I wanted to address a couple questions and comments that I've seen throughout my videos, and a text message that I got yesterday asking me, can you start with Prime Inc. if you're broke as shit? And I thought, I mean, that's literally how the question was asked to me, and I thought that was kind of funny. But I've seen a lot of Prime drivers, or not Prime drivers, say, you know, don't go into training or start your trucking adventure if you've got no money. And you know, maybe there's certain circumstances where that may be the case. I want to tell you guys that if you're thinking about coming to Prime Inc. and go through our training program at Prime, which am a huge advocate for. I went through it myself. I went through PSD, TNT myself. A lot of challenges. It was one of the most difficult periods of my life. But having gotten on the other side of it, it's well worth it. And like I was saying before, I gave the truck update there about a minute or two ago. I don't care what the internet says, you guys. I've bought this truck. Well, I'm paying for it, but I paid the $12,000 down. If I was new to leasing, it would be $14,000 down, but $12,000 I think down, and then had a couple $1,000s in upgrades roughly. And then I have a second truck that's coming in a couple weeks. That one's going to be $12,000 down plus some upgrades on that truck, all out of pocket, you guys. Not credit cards, not anything like that. So the internet is full of shit if it's telling you can't make money at Prime. Get into arguments all the time. There's gonna be comments on this video of people saying F Prime, screw Prime, can't make any money, you're an amateur, you don't know what you're doing. Look, if this is what not knowing what you're doing and what amateurism is, to be able to spend $30,000 out of your pocket, then I would say that I'm pretty pleased with being amateur and not knowing what I'm doing. Anyway, you guys, if you're thinking about coming to Prime and you're broke, let me tell you this, and I'm not too prideful to say it. I've talked about it before on this channel. I was broke as shit when I came to Prime. Like a lot of other Prime drivers, there's some guys in the training department that'll tell you the same story. They got out of debt, you know, came to Prime, couldn't find 2 nickels to rub together in their pocket, got out of debt, bought homes, all that good stuff. So is it recommended that you come to Prime broke? No. If you can come to Prime and go through PSD and TNT with some bread in the oven, you know, some cash stashed, then that's obviously more ideal. But can you do it broke as shit? Yes, you can. And Prime makes that possible. I was in probably the most challenging financial situation of my life when I came to Prime. I mean, borderline bankrupt. Hardly enough money to pay a cell phone bill. Where we were literally trying to figure out how we're going to feed our German Shepherd. You know, that's how broke we were. And trucking, I've got videos about this. You know, trucking was a very natural transition because I'd lived in an RV for 2 years, traveling the country, living in BLM land. I was working in the film industry. So we had, you know, it was a natural transition to go from driving a pretty big vehicle to a lot bigger vehicle. I had already been familiar with sleeping in rest areas and all that. So, you know, we'd lived off grid. We had 1,400 watts of solar panels with 400 amp hours of lithium batteries, big water tanks, and we could go out in BLM land and stay out there for days and days, in fact, weeks if we needed to, and it was amazing. So the OTR life was a very natural transition. And coming to Prime, being that it is the largest refrigerated fleet, I always get pushback on that. No, Prime's not the biggest fleet. No, it's not the biggest fleet in the country. It's the largest refrigerated fleet. That gave me some feeling of security during economic downturns because people always need food. And that's primarily what Prime hauls. So that's why I chose, one of the big reasons I chose Prime, but also for the training program because of its length, because of how really fundamentally detailed it can get with the right trainer, with a good trainer. And I didn't want someone just throw the keys to a commercial vehicle to me after 2 weeks. That I was not interested in that. If this is going to be a profession that I build into something lucrative for me, I want to know what the hell I'm doing. So I wanted to go through that whole, you know, the extensive training program that Prime has. And so those are the kind of key reasons I chose Prime. But I was broke as shit. And the reason that Prime makes it all possible is because they try and make it they try to make it the least amount of taxing financially on you as possible to get trained and become a professional driver. And that all really begins with, at the very beginning, of reimbursing you for travel expenses, putting you in a hotel without you having to pay for it or pay it back, feeding you during orientation, 3 meals a day, not charging you anything for orientation or PSD or TNT. Now, if you don't complete a year, you are on the hook for the training. But if you come to Prime and go through PSD and TNT, I don't know why you wouldn't complete a year. You're already, you know, 2 months into it. By the time you're done with orientation and PSD and TNT and all that, you're already almost a quarter of the way into that year. Well worth the investment. But not only do they pay for all that stuff during orientation, they also advance you $200 per week until you get your CDL, until you pass the CDL test and become a hired employee of Prime, which is usually like 2 to 3 weeks, I think. And so that, now you have to pay that back, I believe, in $25 per week withdrawals from your pay, which is $900 a week now. I think it's, yeah, $900 a week, right? Yeah, $900 a week for TNT. So, which it was much less when I went through TNT. But my point is, because of the minimized cost that you have going through orientation, there's other mega carriers that you have to pay for the hotel, you have to pay for your food, you have to pay for your transportation. There's like, they finance the training costs and all that stuff. Prime really minimizes that. And like I said, I was broke as shit. And Prime doesn't encourage this. They really want you to use that $200 per week to make sure that you're fed. But in all honesty, guys, I was using half that money just to keep bills afloat. I was buying money orders and sending that money back to Jenna to pay to keep the cell phone on. That's how bad it was. And what a difference it is, you know, then versus now, of course, where if we need something, we go buy it, you know. It's a dramatic difference. But my point is, if you are very frugal and very disciplined and very mission driven when you come to Prime, yes, you can come to Prime broke as shit, and it can work for you. It could be painful and frustrating, because when you've got those bills stacking up and you're wondering if everybody's eating at home, and you're trying to send half of that advance, that $200 advance home, and then trying to live off the other $100, which I was able to make it work. I just went and bought soups, little microwavable soups and stuff to make sandwich wraps. And that $100 got me through each week until I had my CDL and until I was getting off in TNT and getting paid. So it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't enjoyable, not by any stretch, but it was a means to an end. It was necessary. You know, it was the program that I had to deal with, that I had to put myself through because of the situation that I was in. And if you're able to do that, if you're able to reconfigure your life to get through that phase, to get to the other side, then yes, you can do it. And I'm living proof of it. And there's a lot of drivers that are living proof of it, that you can come to Prime broke as shit and really pick yourself back up, build yourself back up, and put yourself into a very lucrative, prosperous situation. So don't let some of the videos out there discourage you to think, well, I'm not in a position financially to where I could get through that phase. You know, again, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it is possible. Would it be better to have some money? Of course it would. Of course it would. If you can have a couple $1,000s saved up to help pay for your bills and get you through that phase, great. Then obviously that is a more ideal situation. Not everybody can. I couldn't. My choices at that time, because of my career path previous to truck driving, to me, it was such a drastic. I've worked in the corporate world, working in production business. It would have been such a dramatic, like, I don't know that I could have gone and worked at like a Walmart or something and also saved money to make sure that I had a couple $1,000s in the bank to come. Like, it would have taken me forever. With the type of money that you make doing something like that, I wouldn't be able to pay my bills and save money to come do this, to come join this career, take this career on, you know? So it wasn't feasible for me to go find another comparable job that I had before that collapsed and fell apart on me to quickly build up thousands of dollars. I just got, you know, some bad things happened, some business partners, you know, just some bad things happened. And I was in the situation that I was in and just didn't have money, and was able to get through that phase because Prime makes it as painless as possible by really trying to minimize your financial obligations when you're going through that point of permit to CDL, of application to hire. They really make that as painless as possible. And so, you know, I'm going to send this back to that individual in text. I'll link to this video anytime I see the comment. But overall, yes, Prime, you can make Prime work, again, if you can restructure yourself, reorganize yourself, and be disciplined, and just know that it is not going to be living the high life until you start getting paid in TNT. It could be painful for you. You still got bills. Everybody has bills. And figuring out how you're going to float that time period is, you know, a challenge you have to tackle. But yes, you can come to Prime broke and make it through somehow, and get to the other side where the grass is a lot greener, and then build a pretty prosperous career. So hopefully that helps some of you if you're in the process and you're wondering, is it possible or is it too much of a risk? Yeah, it's possible. Totally doable. I don't know about any other companies, but I know just because of the way Prime structured its training program, it is completely doable to be broken financially and come build a profession and start your trucking career with Prime. Totally possible. So anyway, hope that helps you guys. Be safe, make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive. I'll talk to you guys soon.